Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Zentner here, doing a little read aloud for this week's reading assignment. This one's about reproduction of flowers. Let's get into it. Pollination is an important process in the reproduction of flowering plants. Flowers of a plant always bloom before the plant is able to produce fruit and seeds. Without pollination, plants would not be able to produce fruits at all. Yes, almost all fruits that we eat and all the beautiful flowers that we enjoy come from pollination. Pollination is the spreading of pollen from one flower to the next. Pollen from one flower that is transferred to another flower will fertilize that plant's cells and turn them into seeds. Once a plant has developed seeds, the seed will continue to grow into a fruit. So, how does pollination work? Pollination happens when pollen created by the plant's male reproductive system, called the stamen, is moved to the plant's female reproductive system, called the pistil. This fertilizes the plant's cell to produce seeds. Have you seen how bees surround your garden? If you try to observe them carefully, bees go from one flower to another as they gather nectar, sugar drink from flowers. Bees use nectar from flowers as food to make honey. But as the bees visit each flower for nectar, they also bump the flowers and pollen that's inside the flowers in the stamens stick to the bee's fuzzy legs. The next time the bee flies to another flower, it carries that pollen with it and introduces all the pollen from different flowers to one another. This is how pollination works. Insects like bees are not the only animals to aid in pollination. Some mammals and birds can be pollinators too. Can you think of birds you've seen visiting flowers? Even though most pollinators are living organisms, some plants can be pollinators like the wind blowing or even water. There are a bunch of different systems for it. So, what are types of pollination? There are two different ways plants can be pollinated. Cross-pollination is the more common form of pollination. Cross-pollination is a type of sexual reproduction that occurs when pollen from one plant is taken to another plant. This type of pollination that happens when bees travel from one plant to another, carrying and transferring pollen in the process. Other insects can also help the pollination of plants. These insects are attracted to the nice smell of nectar and bright colors of the flower. So if you see gorgeous flowers in bright colors, these colors are helping flowers to reproduce. Once a flower or plant has been cross-pollinated, the seeds start to develop and the plant will later grow into new plants. Self-pollination is a type of asexual pollination that does not need the help of pollinators. This is a type of pollination. A single flower can transfer pollen from its stamen straight into the same flower's pistil. Plants that can self-pollinate are not as common as plants that require pollinators' help to reproduce. However, many fruits like tomatoes, apricots, peaches all come from self-pollinating plants. So, who are the pollinators? A pollinator is any living organism or animal that helps to spread pollen from one flower to the next. These animals may not be aware that they are helping in pollination. Many of them are just collecting food for themselves, and the pollination happens to take place while they do this. Animal pollinators include insects such as bees, butterflies, moths, and beetles, as well as birds and bats. Flowers that have bright colors to attract bees, so bees mostly help pollinate flowers with yellow, orange, blue, or purple colors. Butterflies also prefer flowers with bright colors. Bees are attracted to flowers with fresh, sweet odors, while butterflies tend to prefer flowers that have weak scents. Hummingbirds visit long tubular flowers, while bats are usually drawn to flowers that only open at night. Why are bees and other insects so important? Without bees and the other important pollinators, pollination could not happen. Most plants have evolved to be a perfect match for the insects and animals that help transfer their pollen. Without these pollinators, cross-pollination, flowers would have no way of getting pollen to another flower. For this reason, losing pollinators is damaging to wildlife in our natural habitats, as well as our gardens and other things. So, sorry, I'm running out of time. That's why I acted distracted here. I'm going to get to this bottom. Skip to the bottom section because it's important. Parts of the flower. Flowers are beautiful and unique, and every part of the flower is an important role for the plant. So, I'm sorry I'm rushing through this, but there are four main parts here. I don't have enough time for the full read aloud. Staples, petals, stamen, and pistils are also very important. I'll talk about them more in class. I hope this helped.